We are coming to you from Minute Maid Park in Houston, where tonight Comcast Sportsnet is proud to present White Sox baseball. So Isaiah Abreu, Todd Frazier, Brett Laurie, and our Sox as they get set to butt heads with the young, the talented AJ Hinch's Houston Astros. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stones. We get set to bring you the first of this brief three-game set and the first of this brief three-game road trip. As you know, the Sox in the two series we just had at home won 2 out of 3 from Toronto. Then yesterday they won the deciding game, the rubber match, that three-game set with Minnesota, and it was the bottom of the order, the hero.
J.B. Shuck really came up big, and he's got his batting average up to 239, but he came up, dropped this into left field, turned into the winning run. Here comes Avi. They're not going to get him at the plate, and it's a one-run victory for the Sox. 3 series in a row led by J.B. Shuck. And since June 10th, he's played in 18 games. He's hitting .290. That's why the batting average is up where it is. He's driven in 7. He scored 6, so he's doing a whole lot of things right. Plus, he's playing a good center field, and he really looks good playing just about every day.
Well, the Astros were at home at our place in May, and they were really struggling, and since then they've really turned it around.
We saw a completely different team in May. They couldn't do anything right, and lately they're doing everything right. Since May 20th, in 37 games, they're 25-12. You see the batting average. They've scored almost 5 runs a game. They're hitting the ball out of the ballpark. They're actually pitching better than a lot of people thought they would, and they've scored 10-plus runs in 4 of the last 9. So Houston, led by a diminutive second baseman, is knocking at the door of the division, and Altuve had a magnificent June. When you take a look at these numbers, they are staggering. He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark. He's stealing bases, and his teammates certainly appreciate what he's done. So does his manager, AJ Hinch, and take a look at what he did. 420, 42 hits, 4 home runs, 6 doubles. He's driven in 15, scored 19. And he's only hit safely in 24 of 26 in the month of June. So Altuve's getting it done. So is Springer. So is Correa. That's not good news for anybody but Houston.
Well, he's the smallest guy on the ball club, but he is the leader of this ball club. So, first of this three-game set, sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Toyota. Discover more in a Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com or your local Toyota dealer today. Let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Audi. Truth in engineering. And by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.
Welcome back to Minute Maid Park in Houston, the home of the Houston Astros. They come into play today, 8.5 games in back of the Texas Rangers, but winners of 10 of their last 11. They've been red hot. They've won 3 games in a row, and they're doing it with a combination of airtight pitching, which they thought they'd have, and a whole lot of offense. So before the ball game, we had a chance to look into the Astro dugout. That's Carlos Gomez. What he's doing is eye exercises to enable him to sharpen his vision for what he hopes is a big night offensively. And for Gomez, it hasn't been the kind of year that he expected it to be. He's hitting just .226, so he's hoping perhaps those eye exercises are going to help him out tonight. The Astros take the field. And let's take a look at how Robin is going to line them up tonight. Tim Anderson, the red-hot Tim Anderson, leading it off with Adam Eaton in the 2 spot. Then it's Jose Abreu, Todd Frazier, Brett Lawrie, Alex Avila, Avisail Garcia in left field once again, Tyler Saladino at third base, and J.B. Shuck, the hero of yesterday, in center field and hitting 9. The Cricket wireless defensive setup for A.J. Hinch. Colby Rasmus, Carlos Gomez, George Springer in the outfield. Don't run on Springer. He's got a great arm. Luis Valbuena, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, Marwin Gonzalez around the infield, Jason Castro behind the plate, and our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Mike Fiers. His 15th start, his 16th game. He's 5-3, ERA 4.41. He's got a good splitter. There's a lot of off-speed pitches, but giving up more hits than innings pitched, 96 and 83 2/3. Doesn't walk too many people, yet he has been wild in the strike zone. That is a 4.41 ERA, and this is a bad place to make a mistake with a fastball that's pullable for right-hand hitter, because the Crawford boxes are very cozy in left field. The umpires for the game tonight: Jordan Baker behind the plate, Tim Timmons at first, Ryan Blackney is at second, and Mike Everett, the crew chief, is at third. So they throw the ball around the infield. Altuve has it at second base. That's one of the guys to bear in mind. Offensively, he's had just a magnificent run. Most likely will be the American League Player of the Month for the month of June, where he hit .420. And as they get the ball back into Fiers, we're ready to play baseball, and I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here on Comcast Sportsnet. So happy you could join us for the first of this 3-game series and brief 3-game road trip. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours as Tim Anderson stands in. So the 30-year-old right-hander Mike Fiers, 6'2", 200 pounds. And his first pitch of the ball game. And here at the ballpark, 315 down the left field line, 362 in left center, 436 in straightaway center, 436 in straightaway center, 373 in right center, and 326 down the right field line.
You got Tal's Hill in straightaway center field, and that will wreak havoc with any center fielders who have to go up there and try to run one down.
There's a shot. That's a hang whoop'em for Tim. 1 out. So right now, let's check out our picks to click tonight. Jim and Joe, our director and the crew. Well, they went with Alex. Steve's going with Todd Frazier, and Roy Rivas and his crew. Back home at U.S. Cellular Field, Roy and his crew and I are going to go with Tyler Saladino.
It's a great ballpark for Saladino because he has been a pull hitter, and it's very cozy in the Crawford boxes.
Here's Adam Eaton. 274, 4 homers, 26 knocked in. Sox come in hitting at .249 as a club with a 4.02 team ERA. Ate him up inside, pops him up. Valbuena. Foul ground. 2 down.
Night Fighters came over from Milwaukee along with Carlos Gomez. And they sent over a host of players. Josh Haber, Adrian Hauser, Brett Phillips, Domingo Santana. That was on July 30th of last year.
Sox come in 19-20 on the road. 21-19 at home. So if we can just get things cranked up a little bit, the road record, they play well on the road.
They got Chris Sale going, and normally he dominates these Astros, so it would be a good one to win tonight.
Astros back in May came to our place, played a 3-game series, and Houston won 2 of them.
That was before they really started to heat it up. As you look at Chris Sale, 13-2, major league leader in wins. Trying to get to 15 before the All-Star break. Not an easy thing to do.
Curveball hangs high and in.
Don Cooper, Robin Ventura, Rick Renteria, 1, 2, 3 in the Sox dugout.
The curveball, that one chopped foul.
You hit in Fenway, and this is similar with this fence here. As we take a look today, it's Darwin Barney on the mound. It's Carlos Santana. This is the 19th inning. Barney, the second of 2 middle infielders to pitch in that game, and the Indians win their 14th in a row. As Santana goes deep, maybe he was looking for Barney all the way.
There was a cookie he got away with, a hanger.
So like Fenway, do you change your stroke at all here for the inviting left field?
Well, it's according who's pitching. You know, if it's a right-hander, I'm going to make him throw the fastball, and you do that by standing right on top of the plate. If it's the left-hander, I'm going to try to forget about the left field wall and beat him to right. So a nice 1-2-3 inning for Mike Fiers.
A.J. Hinch is going to line him up tonight. George Springer leading it off with Valbuena, Altuve, Correa, Colby Rasmus, who's been red hot, Carlos Gomez, Marwin Gonzalez. Then it's Reed and Castro rounding it out. The Cricket wireless defense, and now Robin He's going to put him out there behind Miguel Gonzalez. Garcia, Shuck, and Eaton in the outfield with Saladino, Anderson, Laurie, and Abreu in the infield. Alex Avila gets a nod behind the plate, and our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Miguel Gonzalez. There's a look at Miguel on for his 11th start, his 12th game, and his ERA a tick over 5.
So here's Springer hitting at .259, 17 homers and 48 knocked in. Very talented guy, 26 years old. Astros come in hitting at .246 as a team with a 3.91 ERA. Houston 22-15 here at home, 20-22 on the road.
Everybody worried about Tim Anderson drawing walks. He drew his first yesterday. Last year, Springer, in 388 at bats, drew a total of 20 walks, but he hit .276, 16 home runs. This guy has got great talent.
Timmy's got him on that.
It makes it 15 straight innings. Miguel Gonzalez has retired the leadoff hitter. That's a nice trend to get into. Albuena has been red hot.
He has always hurt us. He's a .258 hitter lifetime against us, but it's not what he hit, it's when he hit it.
He's one of the few hitters that reaches the left field wall a lot easier than he does the right field wall.
Well, again, going back to if hitters, they would be well advised and more productive if they could ever get it in their head to try to beat pitchers' arm side.
In this ballpark, yeah, it really helps. A lot of guys just won't do that. They try to pull everything, and that's it.
I had a long conversation before the game with their hitting coach, Dave Hudgens. Is he gone? 2 down. And we were talking about guys moving, and they just don't want to move.
They get in the same spot, and it doesn't matter who's pitching. It doesn't make a great deal of sense if you stand in the same spot with a guy throwing 99 and a guy throwing 89.
Is this no rhyme or reason for it?
Oh.
And yet I'm sitting here talking. It took me 5 years in the big leagues to learn, because I was just like the rest of these. I just didn't move. I got in the same spot against everybody. And then once I understood, as Joe Cronin, who was a Hall of Fame shortstop, and Ted Williams, a Hall of Fame hitter, got in my head and started talking to me about moving around that box, it worked. Nothing changed. I didn't get any stronger. My swing didn't get any better. It's just I had more of a sense of control.
Do you wish that you had understood that earlier in your career so you could have used it longer?
No question about it. No question about it. All of Cooperstown is filled with guys who moved around in that box. This little man can hit. Comes in at .357, 13 homers, 46 knocked in. Last year hit .313, 15 homers, and drove in 66.
During his 11-game hitting streak, he's only hitting .444. He also has an on-base streak that's currently active. And if you walk him or put him on base, he's swiped 21 bags, been thrown out 3 times. Pretty amazing player he's turned into. They knew they had a good one. They didn't know they had a great one. Last few years, he is showing all of baseball that doesn't matter what size you are. If you're a great player, it's going to eventually show up.
Chopper 2 hopper. So a nice inning for Miguel, and after 1, no score. You won't want to miss another great episode of Beer Money, airing Sunday on CSN. Watch contestants test their sports trivia knowledge for the chance to win cash. Beer Money presented by Coors Light, Sunday at 7 p.m. on CSN Chicago.
Fiers throws a lot of line drives because he throws a lot of high fastballs. Line drive percentage this season of 27.6. That is the highest in the major leagues of 136 qualified starters. League average of 20%. So throwing line drives is going to cost you a whole lot of hits and eventually a lot of home runs.
Here's Frazier. 203, but he has 23 homers and 51 knocked in. Altuve over on the third base side of second. Frazier has faced Fiers 18 times, has 5 hits, and 3 of them stayed in the park.
Fiers throws it straight over the top. It adds a little deception, although takes away some of the movement he might have with a lower arm slot. But he does have a splitter, a split change that works pretty well. He'll get a lot of guys out on the front foot. He doesn't lead the team in home runs given up, but he is second in that dubious department. Oh, 0-2 pitch, just to remind him he's still out there. He buzzes one up and in.
That curveball on the way.
Don Cooper actually had a talk with Todd Frazier. Todd was talking to him about lack of doubles and base hits. He said, well, there is a right side of the field. That's where a lot of the base hits will come.
And there is a rope. So the first hit, first base runner of the game.
Tries to throw a fastball by him, and it's pretty much right down the middle. He takes it right back up the middle. One of those line drives we talked about.
Here's Laurie. Right at 248, 11 homers and 31 driven in, but he has 20 doubles.
Last 7, he's been heating it up. 3 home runs, 4 driven in, scored 5, only 5 multi-hit games. That's good.
Well, Sox have won their last 3 series. And after that long stretch, hopefully we're catching our second breath.
Well, coming in 1 game over 500. You'd have to think this should be a pretty good stretch. The ball club is starting to do a whole lot of things right in this series. They have Chris Sale going to the mound, Jose Quintana going to the mound. That's why this first one against Fires is a big one. You can come out of here with this one. Should be a good series. And Todd Frazier didn't even have time to take a lead before Fires went over to first base. Just thinking, let me get off the bag. It'll be more effective for you.
Good rip. It's all over it, just underneath it.
Got a fastball right down the middle. Fouled it straight back. That was the Honda pitch tracks. Talked to Brett before the game. You ever played with anybody as keyed up for 9 innings every night of the season as Brett Lawrie?
Never.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Never. Besides not playing with any, I never saw any.
He's an intense young man.
Oh, too long. Oh, Brett.
Jason Castro coming out. Talk with Fires.
No, Brett Lawrie is unique. Outfield straight up, spread out, spaced about equidistant. They've got a decent outfield.
A man in right field, George Springer, can not only go get him, but he's one of the best throwers around. Gomez can cover a whole lot of ground in center. There's a look at Springer. Gomez was hurt. Now he is back. Batting average way down for him.
2-2 the count. No score. Top of the second if you're just tuning in. Very happy. 4th of July weekend each and all. Make it a safe one. There's one. Can't get him at first. So they get Frazier.
Sox fans celebrate a birthday, anniversary, or business function in a Diamond Suite at a White Sox game. Diamond Suites can accommodate groups from 10 to 100. Single game packages includes a great food menu, beverages, and parking passes. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/group.
So here's Alex Avila hitting at 237, 3 homers, 6 knocked in.
This ballpark should be ideal because as Alex's batting average has started to rise, he's using left and left center field more than he has in quite some time. When he made the All-Star team in 2011, that was one of the things he did very well. Go the opposite way, and he's got a lot of power that way.
1-0 the count. Sox will have this brief 3-game set. Come home Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday against the Yankees. Off day on Thursday, then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A.J. Pierzynski and the Atlanta Braves come to town. Then the All-Star break. That's up high, 2-0.
And a guy who does give up a lot of home runs runs that count to 2-0 or 3-1. The hitter's in the driver's seat, not Fiers.
We talk about that sense of control. Somebody's going to have it. Either the hitter's going to have it or the pitcher's going to have it. And sometimes that sense of control can change from pitch to pitch with the count.
The count's such a huge factor.
High, 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 and back into the crowd.
There's right around a 50-point difference when you go 1-0 as opposed to 0-1. And it seems like a small thing, the first pitch, but it really sets up a defensive at bat as opposed to an offensive at bat.
Well, that's why they say most guys will agree the most important pitch in baseball is first pitch strike.
I've always felt that. It doesn't matter what pitch you throw, just get it over the plate. Plus, maybe they'll hit it at somebody. You got 7 guys behind you, 1 in front of you, try to get them out.
Out and around that one, top hands.
Arwin Gonzalez at first base is their all-purpose player. He can literally play anywhere. And A.J. Hinch loves to have him around. There's a look at A.J. His second go-round as a manager. First time with the Diamondbacks. He was just 34 years old, and he says, quite frankly, I was overmatched.
I think he's caught up.
There's no doubt. He is one smart guy.
Two down. So here's Avi Garcia, 244, 5 homers, 27 driven in.
That last pitch was his splitter. And Alex swinging over the top.
Well, there are sometimes that you just have to make adjustments. It's just that simple. Sometimes, as we say, from pitch to pitch, you might have an approach or a plan against a guy. That ball hit into left field hard. Rasmus looks up, and it's off the fence. Now they're going to have to hold Laurie at third on the double. A bullet double by Avi Garcia.
That one just missed going out of the park, and you can hardly hit the ball harder than he did. His 8th double of the year. And he just crushes it.
That goes to show you, we talk about the low fences versus high fences.
Yep.
That's the home run in any other park with the exception of Fenway.
This time the ballpark took it away because he cranked it. But Laurie's got good speed. It shows you normally on a double he's going to score from first. That ball was just hit so hard that Town Pride had to keep it in.
So here's Saladino. But when you're thinking as a hitter, you get in that box and you got an approach or plan against a guy and you see a couple of pitches, all of a sudden sometimes you might realize, hey, instead of that I'll do this. And other times you might think to yourself, hey, this guy's on top of his game tonight.
Well, I mean, look, I have a scouting report on you. You have a scouting report on me. You know what I like to do. I know what you're trying to do. And sometimes if you go up there and I'm not going to give you what you're trying to do, you've got to make an adjustment.
Exactly.
Like I make an adjustment to you if you do something that I didn't expect.
That's what it is, the thinking man's game. There's a little soft pop up. Gomez, he's coming on, he's there. So Myers pitches out of the 2-out jam. Season long on CSNChicago.com, presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday. Shop The Great Escape.
Earlier in the season, Correa turned his ankle. Wasn't anything serious, but he was out of series. And he wasn't doing very well. AT Hinch went to him and said, look, he said, you have the best eye on our ball club. He really can identify a strike and can tell when it leaves a pitcher's hand. But he said, you're taking walks in situations you should be driving in runs. I'm going to put you in the 4 spot, and you're there to drive in 100 runs, not to take 100 walks. So I want you to start thinking about expanding your zone in a run-producing situation, and he stayed in the 4 spot ever since.
You see, to me, that's old school right there.
Yeah, it is. It's refreshing to
Manager,
hear.
yeah, I love it. That's the first time I've heard a manager telling a guy exactly what he wants him to do.
Yeah.
They used to do that with everybody. Well, not everybody. 3rd, 4th, and 5th place hitters.
Yeah.
They would tell you. I know when I got traded from Boston to Cleveland, Alvin Dark was the manager. We met the day I flew into Cleveland, and he said, Kenneth, he said, in this ballpark, he said, this is the biggest ballpark in baseball. He said, if all I want you to do is hit me 20 home runs and drive in 75 to 80 runs. He said, if you do that, you will have a great year in this ballpark. And they would tell you that.
It's pretty nice to know the message going in, isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing about it is, he said, I don't care what you hit. He said, I don't care if you hit 100, but you got to hit me 20 home runs, and you got to drive in, 75, 80 runs.
Well, AJ, before the game, drew me a plate, and he made a line on either side of the outside corner. He said, outside corner, inside corner. He said he'd take that pitch, which is fine. I mean, it's a good eye. But there are certain situations where you got to go out and get that pitch away.
Well, high in the right field. Adam back in front of the track. Gray is one of the great talents in the game. And I was talking with some Astro people before the game, and they were talking about how sometimes he's evidently he's got a brilliant mind. He's got a degree in accounting, and very, very intelligent. And sometimes that can be, to a hitter, distraction. That can be a distraction. And if you let that, a lot of times you over-identify things and you outdumb yourself. And the last thing you want to do with a guy like that is keep pumping statistics into his head.
No, pretty much you just say,
go play.
Yeah, here's a lineup card. Your name's in it. Go out and hit.
Go hit.
That's it. Because he can really hit. Now, this is a wonderful problem to have. I talked with their general manager, Jeff Luhnow, and he was talking about what many people consider to be their #1 prospect, and that's Alex Bregman from LSU. He's coming up, getting better. Looks like he's going to get here pretty soon, and he is a lifetime shortstop.
Well, I've never seen this Bregman, but you'd have to bust me to say he's got more talent than that guy right there.
No, they're not going to take him off short, and they're most likely not going to take Altuve off second anytime soon. I said, but if you got a problem with those middle infielders, if you want to trade one of them, I think you'll find a market for him. He said, no, I think we're going to keep him.
Yeah, we were with Dave and AJ and I were talking before the game and talking just how great the talent is, young talent in baseball is today, especially in the American League.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and most teams have some really talented guys all the way around.
Javi stays with it. That's a hang with him for Rasmus.
Colby hits that one hard, and you get a big advantage here. It's like Fenway Park in that the left fielder can play more shallow, because if it's hit over your head, it's going either over or off that wall, so you can afford to play in. Now with Avi, he's much more comfortable coming in than going back, so he actually is playing one of the deeper left fields in this park. But he made a nice play on a slicing line drive off the bat of Rasmus.
Well, I had a White Sox fan before the game asked me why they keep moving Avi around if he's having trouble defensively. And I said, well, first of all, having trouble defensively has been overstated. Very much so. I said, but on the other side of that page, you don't want to take Adam Eaton out of where he is. It's just that simple. Just because you're an outstanding right fielder don't mean you're going to be a good center fielder.
And with Melky out for as long as he is out, Avi playing left field. I mean, it's not like he's played it a whole lot.
Well, you framed it right about playing in this ballpark, but still with Avi, in the way things have evolved, so to speak, he's better off playing a little deeper.
There's no doubt.
He's better off playing a little deeper, so he doesn't have to worry about going back.
Yep.
He doesn't have to worry that much about going to the left, to his left. He did not go.
10th career game in left field, so it's a different look out there.
Yes, it is. It's
a completely different look than any place else.
Ball comes at you entirely different than it does in right field. Gomez, 260 career hitter. A lot of people don't like this guy, but I'll tell you, I like to watch him play. That ball is hit hard. Meanwhile, he's playing a little deep right there on the track, makes a catch. And there was 3 pretty good at bats right there by the Astros.
A cold one to look forward to Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
So here's yesterday's hero. Hit a little flare out there in left field that got the job done. Takes first pitch strike. And Matt Davidson underwent successful surgery on his right foot today at Rush. Oh, what a beautiful and great hospital Rush is. Rush University Medical Center. They put a screw to repair the fracture in his right foot in a procedure by Dr. Simon Lee, White Sox foot and ankle specialist. He's good. You know, it's at the point right now where if you were down in Charlotte and they're thinking about calling somebody up, you maybe want to stay away from that.
No, absolutely. You just say, thank you, I appreciate coming to Major Leagues, but I'd like to have the rest of my career to play. So as Matt, on his first base hit, rounds first base, putting on the brakes there, and he broke a bone in his foot. They're going to evaluate it after a couple of weeks, but probably this year it's going to be tough for him to make his way back.
Well,
and that's sad because, I mean, he had such a great spring.
Well, he's got a ton of talent. He really does. He's in that framework that we were talking last inning. He can't get to the point he outdumps himself by working on mechanics. There's nothing wrong. He's got a great swing. He's got plenty of strength.
Yeah, big and strong guy.
Yeah, and he's going to, if he doesn't get in his own way, he's going to be a good major league player.
Getting his opportunity, you don't know when you're going to get it, where you're going to get it, but when you get your opportunity, you try to make the most of it, and it lasted 2 at-bats for Matt Davidson this year.
That ball hit hard but foul. Tim Leno hit a line shot right to Altuve to lead off the ball game. Yeah, but Matt Davidson's got a chance to be a real good hitter again if he does not dumb himself.
You traded a guy that saved 40 games, Addison Reed, for him, and Reed now with the Mets.
2 down. When I saw Matt 2 years ago in spring training, I told Robin, I said, this kid's got as much talent as we've brought up in a long time.
And this spring he looked much better. I mean, it looked like he had started to figure it out, where the defense was pretty good and he wasn't striking out as much. He didn't go out to try to get everything. He let the game come to him.
Well, you just hit it right on the head. You got to let it come to you.
Yeah.
You go out and try to capture this game and you're in trouble. Adam fouled out to Valbuena.
Last 16 for Adam have been pretty good. 6 extra base hits, 7 driven in. He scored 16. And hitting in the 2 spot, he's taken over and done an excellent job. Looked like he was always a 2-hitter when in reality he was always a leadoff hitter. Probably better suited these days to hit in the 2 spot.
Yanks that one foul down past Darrell Boston. And once again, very happy 4th of July weekend. Please make it a reflective one and a safe one. It was hot today in Houston. It's going to be hot tomorrow in Houston. It's going to be hot a month from now in Houston.
And real hot. But they make up for it by having stifling humidity.
So he gets him. A couple of strikeouts. He now has 3. And we're still scoreless. Just NBA and NHL free agency news, plus game recaps, highlights, interviews, and more on Sportsnet Central tonight after White Sox postgame live on CSN Chicago.
Astros hit the ball very hard last inning. Fortunately, each and every one of them was right at one of the outfielders, which was good. And it's a battle of Gonzalez's here. And Marwin has been very versatile for them.
He's hitting .256, 6 homers, 21 knocked in. He's a switch hitter. Outfield slightly, just slightly to the left with that pitch low and away. But you know, getting back to Davidson, I don't ask our guys, our people, about when I follow Matt every day, you know, over our minor league report. And then after I waited for about a month and a half, and I called a couple of friends of mine who scout that league that's popped up, and I asked him, I said, tell me about Davidson. He goes, Hawkey's getting ready. And this friend of mine, I mean, nobody in this game is 100% right, but he is very, very good. But he's very seldom wrong is a better way to frame it. And he said he's getting ready. He said by the end of this year he should be ready.
Yeah. He's getting his opportunity, and AJ Reed has got tremendous power. Still looking for his first major league hit, but if you get one out over the plate, he can hit it as far as anybody.
0 for 15. Yeah, he's got some big numbers. He's a .324 minor league hitter
with lots of home runs.
Yeah, and he's just 22 years old. The Houston people I talked to before the game all really love him.
He's got a few holes in that swing, and as most strong hitters have, you can still throw the ball under his hands. But he's a big, strong kid.
Well, we both know you can say that about probably 99 out of 100 strong left-handed hitters.
Yeah. Keep it up, keep it in, and it won't give you any problems. However, you get it out over the plate and he can lose it.
Just ask Chris Davis. Watch out.
The ball was a cutter. It was on the inside corner, and Reed fortunately got out a little too quickly.
Well, if that was a purpose pitch, it was a good pitch.
Just let him hit it as hard as he wants. Foul. Now you got 2 strikes.
I doubt if it was a purpose pitch. That Baltimore staff that they had when they had those 420 game winners, and prior to that, they were the best in all of baseball at doing that.
That was 71 when they had the 4 starters. Probably never, well, it will never happen again. 420 game winners: Palmer, Dobson, McNally, and Cuellar. Never happen again.
Those guys were not afraid to throw you a 2-0 hanger that was about 4 or 5 inches off the corner inside and let you hit it as hard as you wanted to. Foul. He gone.
Change of speeds. That was the split change, and he had Reed out in front of him. So he's still looking for his first major league hit.
I guess one of the best examples now of young players coming up to help a major league club for the Kansas City Royals. With that third baseman and that second baseman.
Yeah, they've been something special.
Oh,
Cuthbert has been unbelievable. I mean, you lose Moustakas and you figure, well, defensively we're going to really suffer. But not so with Chesler, Cuthbert. And Whit Merrifield is.
Merrifield looks like he's been here for 4 or 5 years.
I know. Didn't show that much in the minor leagues, but he's come up and had really tough at bats.
Get over there. That is 9 up, 9 down for Miguel.
on Cascade Communications in Cascade, Iowa. That's the home of Red Faber, a Hall of Famer.
He was pretty good. Yes, here's Abreu. He's pretty good. Abreu popped up to Springer in right field. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for our guys. No runs, no hits, no errors for their guys here in the top of the 4th. And if you missed it, Cleveland beat Toronto 2-1 in 19 innings. That's a little disappointing. We were hoping they'd go 23-24.
And Toronto on Canada Day would wind up winning that one, but it took the second of 2 middle infielders to pitch to be able to lose that one for Toronto.
I still would take Cleveland winning that game for them to go 19 innings.
Well,
you know, it's about time we can catch a break with somebody else in our division having the bullpen worn out like ours got worn out in April.
Well, you had to figure that Terry, who likes to use a lot of relievers, obviously nobody plans on going that deep into the ball game, but Terry wound up having to use tomorrow's starter, Trevor Bauer, to go 5 innings in that one, and he came away with the win.
Yeah. That's a fair ball. Rolling breaking ball. That's the 17th two-bagger.
Now here's an example of throwing away from your defense. If you're going to play him like they're playing him, you can't throw a breaking ball, especially an off-speed pitch. Even if this ball is away, and it's fairly away from him, they were lined up as an off-field defense. So you had Valbuena way off the line. You had the outfield shifting around toward right center, and you throw him a soft breaking ball, which he pulled down the line and cost him a 2-base hit.
So here's Frazier. Hit a rocket for a base hit in the center field. There was a cookie right there, just a rolling curveball. Then right here, this is a situation that you got Frazier at the plate. The last thing you want him to do is hit a little weak ground ball to the right side.
Well, he's your run producer.
That's it.
He's your banger.
That's
let him hit.
Let him hit his right. Now you get certain guys who are powerful and run producers who, as he can reach those right field seats so easy. And you might want to take a shot with that in mind, not trying to hit a little weak ground ball to the right side.
Now with 2 strikes, however, all bets are off. Make some contact. Appeal to Tim Timmons. He says nope. He gets another pitch. Get a good combination here. You get a guy who hits a lot of home runs and a pitcher who throws a lot of home runs. And 3 straight slow breaking balls. That was a straight change. So 4 straight off-speed pitches.
Be awful tough, even though Fires does not have great velocity. It'd be awful tough for him to catch up to a fastball neck high in.
Good numbers career-wise against Fires.
Yeah, he's got a couple of homers. That ball hit into left field, but they got a man there.
There's an example of Castro wanting the ball up, just exactly what you were talking about. He wanted a face-high fastball. Fires got it down and hittable, and unfortunately Todd lined out to Colby Rasmus.
Yeah, that ball could have gone out of here just as easy as it went to Rasmus. So here's Laurie. Hit into a 5-4 fielder's choice. Well, you asked me earlier if I'd ever played with a guy who had as much energy each and every day like Brett Laurie. The only guy that I can say would come close, and he's not really in the same ballpark with Brett, was Pete Rose.
Nope. Not much about him alike. But they both hustled every moment they were on the field.
That's right. Pete and I played together down in Venezuela, and he was the same way from the first pitch of the game to the last pitch of the game. There's a shot, another hang whoopple. Boy, there's some bullets being hit through the first 3 2/3 with no runs on that board.
Well, sometimes you catch a break, and Fiers is doing that. Line drive rocket to left, line drive rocket to third. Valbuena there. He set up well off the line, and this time the ball found him. Can't hit it much harder, Brett.
No, that's about it. Here's Alex. He struck out. Nice by Castro. He's good. He's a good catcher. You know, when we first saw him, he looked like he was going to be a perennial all-star.
Well, he's got all the skills, and defensively he's got good movement to either side. He is certainly a very smart catcher.
And they say he's one of the leaders in the clubhouse.
Yeah. First round draft pick, 10th overall in 2008. I believe he is a Stanford product.
You always like to hear when a catcher is one of the leaders in the clubhouse.
Yep. That's the best scenario. Last year a finalist for the Gold Glove. Of course, that one error he committed all season, apparently not good enough to win that Gold Glove. Imagine a whole season behind the plate with all the throws you have to make. You commit just one error and don't win the Gold Glove. That's kind of amazing.
Well, we know there are exceptions, but most Gold Gloves are won with a bat.
That's always a consideration. And I think more a consideration that it should be, because it's a Gold Glove. It's for defense.
Yeah, you pick me out one of the 4 or 5 shortstops in this league that we got is so great. Those young ones. Who's the best defensive? Throw them in the hat and pick one out, and it's just as good as the rest of them in there.
And some that make more errors, it's because they cover more ground.
Yeah, it's hard to cover more ground than that kid in Detroit.
Iglesias, Lindor, Correa,
Bogarts.
I mean, they all cover a whole lot of ground, and just about each and every one of them has a big arm.
Well, the writer asked me today, we were talking about the great young talent in baseball, especially shortstop position in the American League. He asked me, he said, who was the best shortstop that you played against? And I said, Louis Aparicio. And he said, how would Louis compare with these guys? And I said, well, Louis is a Hall of Famer. Louis was a great shortstop. In his time zone, he was the best shortstop I played against. But Louis is not as good a shortstop as 4 or 5 of these guys. That's how good they are.
Yeah, that's true. And they're a lot bigger and a lot stronger than they were way back when.
Yeah, but you got to go for time zones and what in your time frame.
Well, take a look. Remember when Earl Weaver moved Cal Ripken to shortstop? Everybody said, well, he can't play shortstop. He's 6'4". Now these guys.
Earl got crucified.
I know. They thought he was the dumbest man on the planet for moving a third baseman to shortstop who was that big. Now you see routinely guys anywhere between 6'2" and 6'4" playing shortstop with regularity.
Now feel straight up. Full count with 2 out. Pick him up, Alex. Call a break.
Yeah, that was a good pitch. It didn't get the call. Jordan Baker behind the plate probably is the tallest umpire in the major leagues, and because of that, it would seem he would have more trouble with the low pitch. And it looked the way Castro caught it like he actually took it down a little bit, made it look lower than it was.
Well, Jordan's also one of the better umpires in the league.
He's a good one, and he's had a good night tonight.
So here's Avi. He hit a rocket off that top of that wall out there in left field for a double. Speed got him. And try to gas him upstairs. 1-1.
Both of these pitchers tonight making use of the change of eye levels. They're both using that face-high fastball to their advantage. Against the Astros, Avi has done very well. And that includes tonight's double.
So fires on top in the count, a ball and 2 strikes. Not a bad crowd. They're averaging 28,000 a game.
This
Even
fandom,
after that rough start.
I was going to say, this fandom is just waiting for an excuse to come out.
Well, they got a nice place to go. It's air conditioned.
And I was going to say, with the dome on it, with the weather here, this is better than most places to go. And you get to see a very talented young team. And when they do hit one out of the park, you'll see the train going down the tracks, although it can't go too far.
Well, Fillmore, Skip Ellison, our director, he still likes to play with trains.
He's got one. That would be a substantial home run, hitting that train.
Two-two pitch. That ball hit into right field. Right to Springer. Javi hit it right on the money. Meanwhile, another line shot right at him.
on the Atlanta Braves on Saturday, July 9th at 1:10. The first 20,000 fans will receive a White Sox cap presented by the Private Bank. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Top of the order for the Astros here in the bottom of the fourth. Springer, Valbuena, and Altuve.
$17.48 for a leadoff hitter. Pretty good power numbers at the top of the order.
Well, that's managing to a degree. And trying to put somebody in the slot in that lineup that they either recognize the responsibility of it. Of course, the most responsibility is the two-hole, but also that they can handle.
Last Friday night in Kansas City, the first inning. Springer leads off by crushing the ball. Kane can't get to it, and Springer runs it into a triple. Well, at the time, was a good way to start the game, but little did he know that in that same first inning, he would come up with the bases loaded, a triple and a grand slam in the first inning last Friday night. Good way to start it off for Springer, who, even though he probably in a race could blow the doors off Altuve at second, he hasn't learned the art of base stealing yet. He's 6 out of 12 in stolen bases.
And he hit him. That's the first Astro base runner.
This was that split change and turns around. He'll take that one to get on base. And if you're going to get hit, that's not a bad spot to do it.
Yeah, especially with a change. Here's Valbuena. Last year, Springer was 16 for 20 in stolen bases. They got him listed as 6'3", 212. He's bigger than that. I mean, you stand beside him, he's huge. He reminds me a lot of Avi Garcia.
Oh, he's got to be well in excess of 220 pounds these days.
Yeah.
Well, Altuve was hitting in the 2 spot, and then when Correa went down, moved Altuve to the 3 spot. And he left him there to put Correa behind him, who was their 3rd hitter. Now he's their cleanup hitter. When I asked A.J. Hinch, could he figure out why they got off to such a slow start this year? And A.J. felt that, said, we got a very young team and high expectations after last year. They put probably a little too much pressure on themselves last year, 86 and 76. They had a very good year. And it's tough to come out and repeat. This is such a good team. They got so much talent all the way around. And their ace, Dallas Keuchel, has done very little this year.
It seems like every team we play, we say the same things about. Well, it's a talented team.
Yep.
Young, talented team. Young, talented team. Young, talented team.
And there's Dallas Keuchel, 5-9 with a 5.13 ERA after the Cy Young Award last year.
Probably the only team in the American League I can think of right off the top of my head right now that you can't say that about, the Yankees.
No, they're a rather old team.
Yeah, you used to say that every year about the Red Sox. They're a veteran team. Not anymore.
And not only that, not only who they have on the field, but who they have coming in the next wave. of really young, talented players. Red Sox are stacked up for a while.
Do you see they just got banned from international signings for this year?
For going too far over the limit for money?
Yeah, well, for a little bit of skullduggery there.
A little skullduggery?
And the disbursement of the money.
I talked with Rick Hahn about international signings. I talked with Jeff Luhnow about international signings after a nice article in the paper today. I was in the Houston Chronicle about the general manager of these Astros. He said they've kept to their allotted international signing pool 3 straight years. He said this year they've got $2,197,000 to spend. And he said, but they will not mind going over. This is a very deep international class, and they will go over. And when you go over that, you have to pay a tax dollar for dollar. So you get a $2 million player. He's a $4 million player.
There he goes. And there's ball 4. So hit by pitch. The walk. 2 men aboard.
Alex Avila now out to talk with Miguel. Got some problems with the heart of the order coming up and nobody out.
Well, you bring it up so often, and it's so true. We used to say it in the dugout a lot of times. When a guy, in this case, has gone 3 innings perfect. 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. All of a sudden, leadoff man gets scored. All right, he's in the stretch. Now let's get him.
Yeah, that's it. It's a completely, for him, a completely different look. And if you look at warm-up pitches by most pitchers between innings, a lot of them don't take pitches from the stretch. Same thing with their loosening up in the bullpen. They'll take a lot of them, but a low percentage compared to what they do when they're on the mound.
So here's the best hitter on the team, Altuve. He grounded out to Anderson at short. Takes first pitch strike.
Talked with Rick Hahn today about the international signings. The White Sox have around $3 million, and Marco Paddy, who's in charge of international scouting, is going to be running that. And the Sox, in the words of Rick Hahn, will be aggressively pursuing international talent. Now, it doesn't count against you when you sign guys like Jose Abreu, because he's a veteran player. If you're a veteran major leaguer from Cuba, it doesn't count against your international signing.
Take your time, make a good throw. There you boy. Atta boy. Rack him up, 2 down.
Altuve got jammed on a fastball that was over the inner portion, but not inside off the plate. He breaks his bat, and then Miguel with a very nice throw. He's got some patience, realizing that Altuve can't possibly beat the arm of Anderson. All he had to do was get it there, and for the 11th time this year, Altuve has grounded into a double play, far and away leading the team.
That's when the hitter really gets upset with himself. He jammed himself right there.
On a very hittable pitch.
It was wheelhouse.
I know.
So here is the very dangerous Carlos Correa. He just missed one, taking Adam Eaton back to the track on a high towering fly ball. And once again, if you're just tuning in, Cleveland beat Toronto today to extend their winning streak 2-1, but they paid a price for it, a big price. 19 innings.
And used everybody out of that bullpen, including tomorrow's starter. Because Trevor Bauer is supposed to go tomorrow. He got tomorrow today and got a win.
That's a manager's nightmare right there in this culture of baseball today.
There you look at it. Sox 9 back coming in. Cleveland seemingly doesn't want to lose ever again. 49-30. Franchise record 14 wins in a row.
Boy, he just ate him up right there, and he's going to score a run. There's a Kansas City special. It's 1-0 Houston. That's a shame.
You got to figure if that ball is not caught on a fly, there's going to be some problems, because as soon as it hit, because it was hit off the hands, that ball took an abrupt left turn. Or if you're Tim Anderson coming in, it takes an abrupt right turn. He cracks the bat, gets inside, and Springer hustling down the line, recognizing that there's a chance nobody catches this ball. Watch the hop. It hops and then goes to the right side. And Anderson with no chance.
No, that's a shame.
That's 50 driven in by Correa. Sad way to end a no-hitter and a shutout.
A Kansas City special. And I'll say that complimentary. Wish we could do it. Rasmus, he had a bullet right to Avi in left field. Correa 8 for 11 in stolen bases. High into left field. But they get a run on one of the shortest singles you ever want to see.
Baseball, and it's the best records in June. The Indians, the Rangers, the Astros. Trying to catch the Rangers. Rangers had a better record. Then it's Baltimore, San Francisco, and Detroit. All wonderful records in the month of June.
Here's Saladino, popped up to center field. His first at bat. 0-2 the count. 1-0 Astros. And a broken bat infield single by Carlos Correa. Boy, he's made some mistakes with that breaking ball and hadn't really gotten to what you call gotten away with him. Some rockets hit off him, but they've been right at somebody.
4 line drives right at people. Some hard hit base hits. Got out of a jam in the second and a jam last inning. And he's twirling a shutout.
You know, Houston was actually the first club. I was talking with Steve Perry, clubhouse manager here, visiting clubhouse manager, our guy. And Houston was the first club to come in with a post-game spread in the major league.
That was in the Astrodome.
In the old Astrodome back in the 60s.
Yep.
The clubhouse guy, he changed the whole culture of a major league clubhouse. You know, when in my time zone, what they would do, you'd go in after a game, and the post-game spread would be a roll of bologna, because that's pop foul in the seats. Maybe a roll of liverwurst.
Ooh.
4 or 5 loaves of bread, big bowl of potato chips. Go get them, boys. There it is.
There you go.
Today
it's a feast.
Well, we've got our visiting clubhouse manager, Gabe Well, back home. The visiting players come in there and they tell me he just does a great job in there. Of course, Gabe is one of the best. He's been with the White Sox for a long, long time. One of our most loved guys. That changed the whole culture right here in Houston. In fact, we played the All-Star game here in '68, and we had heard about it being in the American League. We had heard about the clubhouse in Houston. And then when we got here in the post-game, of course it was the All-Star game, but post-game, I mean, it was incredible the feast that he had out there with tenderloin steaks, lobsters.
You have anything like that?
That's outside. Now, like in New York, you go there, they have like 5 entrees. Pre-game, they'll have some lobster salad. It's just unbelievable. That was a good at bat. Leadoff man aboard.
Umpires in the stands didn't like it, but that ball was low and away. It was off the corner. It was a battling at bat for Tyler. Saw 9 pitches. Years ago, the Astros also pretty much controlled the flow of Venezuelan players. They had a Venezuelan academy when nobody else had one. And that yielded Freddie Garcia, Richard Hidalgo, Bobby Abreu. I mean, they were the first team down there that was able to take advantage of some great players.
He got a real good jump. He had it stolen. Chuck, being a left-handed hitter, must not have seen it. So that's out number 1.
But I remember watching those guys and thinking, wow, Carlos Guillen, another one of those guys, and they were just outstanding. Then they realized there's so much talent down there that the teams started to filter in, and now there's no advantages for any teams. Although it's different. Everyone had an academy down there. Now with the political situation in Venezuela, there's only 3. And still everybody gets a shot at the Venezuelan players. There's a wealth of talent in Venezuela.
Well, in the 60s and 70s there, for a lot of years, the two toughest places to win a baseball game in the National League was Houston.
Well, you couldn't see in the dome, and they had burners.
They had some absolute fireballs over there. And then the toughest part in the American League was Kansas City, when they had Brett and the boys. Quisenberry. It's out of play by Tim. 0-1 to count. Ball gets away, but a good job to keep it in the vicinity by Castro.
And Tyler couldn't read that one. If he'd have been able to read it, he probably would have coasted into second base, but this ball bounces in front of him. He doesn't know how far it's going to roll. It doesn't go all that far away from Castro, who shifted, was able to keep the ball in the vicinity.
Well, usually if the runner can see the ball, he's not going to go. It's when he loses sight of it, it's when he'll take off. A run on 1 hit for them, no runs on 3 hits for us. We have stranded 4, they have stranded 1 if you're just joining us. First of a 3-game series and a brief 3-game road trip.
That time, very quick feet on the part of Fiers, and if it was a better throw, he probably would have had him. Throw is high. He was able to get the hand in under the tag. So says Tim Timmons, and there is visual evidence of that fact.
Conclusive evidence.
We've heard that a lot, haven't we?
Oh boy, I heard it again yesterday. They took a long time on that play at second base.
Yeah, they did.
I was watching it with my friend, and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I think he's safe." He said, "Well, they're taking too much time, so that leads me to believe he's going to be out." And I said, "No." He said, "Well, you got to have something conclusive, don't you?" He said, "That's what they're trying to find. They couldn't find it."
Nope. And it wasn't that it was the right call. I think whatever was called would have stood, because it didn't matter what angle you got it at, you couldn't conclusively overturn the call.
So I was wrong again.
So.
High into right field.
Provide your guests with the ultimate all-inclusive White Sox experience in the Home Plate Club or Magellan Scout seats. These 2 premium seating areas are the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family. Call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com/premium seating. The Sox fan who's made the trip from wherever he happened to make the trip, sitting in air-conditioned splendor.
I got on the elevator today. There must have been 6 or 7 Sox fans on.
Yep. Great place to stay, very close to the ballpark.
I remember Houston the first time I came here. There was virtually nothing downtown.
You need a haircut? I could use one.
Yeah, yours getting a little shaggy.
Yep. We'll see if we can color up here between innings. Or if Fiers continues to take this long, I might be able to sneak out between pitches.
That's hit hard. Right at him. Another hang ruffle. I'm a son of a gun. Carlos Gomez. He's in the vicinity of having the energy of Brett Laurie, but he's not there.
He's had some very big years, back-to-back years with Milwaukee, where he hit .284. And he hit the ball out of the park, 24 and 23 home runs respectively. 73 runs batted in both years.
Well, he's been a terrific player.
Yeah.
The ground he covers in center field there for a few years was just really the best in baseball. Watch out. There you go. Made that tough hop look easy.
One of the things that he's abandoned, and I'm glad he has, he used to be one of the best push bunters in baseball. He would square up, push it to the right side, push it past the pitcher, and beat the play to first base. Nice play by Saladino as he has to give some ground. Gets it over in plenty of time. If you can't come in and smother the short hop, you have to give a step or so. He was able to do that and throw him out at first.
Here's Marwin Gonzalez. Popped up to Tim Anderson as he takes first pitch strike. Game 2 tomorrow. 3:10 Central start. Chris Sale against Doug Fister, big 6'8" right-hander. And in the finale on Sunday, Quintana against McHugh. Colin McHugh. And both those games will be over Comcast Sportsnet. I think on your schedule, it's got WGN for the Sunday game, but that game has been switched and it's a Comcast game.
McHugh last year was 19 and 7. Just a magnificent season. This year, not quite as lucky, or not quite as good.
That should be a can of corn.
White Sox fans, join us for Country Music Night as the White Sox take on the Atlanta Braves on Friday, July 8th at 7:10. Stay after the game for post-game fireworks show presented by Coca-Cola. Purchase tickets. Visit whitesox.com/country. Now, this is how quickly it can turn around for you if you've got good scouting. They develop players well. 2013, these Astros 51 and 111. Last year, 2 years later, they were 86 and 76.
Hits the bag. That's his first major league hit. And Adam Eaton's going to hold him to the single. So A.J. Reed now 1 for 17. And a standing ovation for this young player.
It's Richie Dower tossing it to Jose Altuve. And they pulled the old trainer switch. Here's the baseball. Give it to the trainer. He gives you back another one. Hands it to the trainer, who hands him back another baseball and throws it out of play, much to the dismay of A.J. Reed, although he'll still have the souvenir.
Watch out. Caught. And that'll retire the side. We have finished 5 and we trail it 1-0.
Travel Wisconsin. Plan your fun today at travelwisconsin.com, and it's 2 more here in Houston, and then home to start off a homestand against the Yankees Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That July 4th game starts at 1:10, and I believe it'll be CC Sabathia on the mound for the Yankees.
Abreu picked up a double, leading off the 4th inning, right down the third base line. It's 1-0 bad guys. He just missed that one. He just missed it. Wow.
Join the 2016 Sox Pride Club for exclusive ticket offers and seating locations all season long. You also get game day opportunities, club auctions, ballpark tours, membership gifts, and more. Visit SoxPrideClub.com to join today. Very few parks will you see at 404 to the right of left center field, but that's what it is here.
That ball, another 32nd of an inch is way. That thing might have been up there on that train.
Spacious dimensions, 404, and then to straightaway center 436. You see Tal's Hill. We're talking about getting rid of that.
Oh, I don't know why there's not that many balls hit on it anyway.
No, a couple, and when you do hit it there, it's interesting to see the center fielder run straight up after running on flat ground.
Well, that is where used to be old Crosley Field was in Cincinnati. First thing you know, you start chasing the ball out there, and your knees up around your chin.
You feel like you're running on your knees.
Well, you do. You run your chin right into your knees. Pops him up. Gonzalez.
The pen is up and going, and A.J. Hinch knows his pitchers. He knows that Fires doesn't go deep into too many games. And so, depending on where he has to remove him, you got the lefty and the righty.
Well, there's no question about it. That's the first responsibility of the manager today. Protecting that bullpen.
Yeah. You got Sip and Neshek throwing in the pen.
Your starters are only out there to protect the bullpen. You have exceptions. You got your Chris Sales, your Arrieta's, and Kershaw's, and guys like that. But those are the few and far between.
Kershaw on the disabled list, by the way, and they don't know when he's coming back. He's got a herniated disc in his back.
There's a base hit. Attaboy Brett. He's going to give it a go. Yes. Safe. That is his 21st two-bagger. A hustle double.
Well, knowing that Rasmus doesn't have a particularly good arm, you don't normally see a left fielder need a cutoff man from left center field. Brett thinking 2 bases as soon as he leaves the batter's box. The only way you can get to second base is to hustle all the way. And he takes a gamble. And the gamble pays off.
I love to watch him play.
Foot in. And he's able, despite all of that acceleration, going into the bag as hard as he did, not to pop off the bag, because otherwise he's out.
You going that hard to second base also have a good chance of popping a ligament.
Yep.
So here's Avila. He is 0 for 1. Last time up, walked, and there's a check swing foul tip. The shift is on. Gets the ground ball to the left side. Will get it done. But the count now 0-2.
He's used that changeup very well. If he stays ahead of hitters, that changeup becomes more effective because the best changeups are down and out of the strike zone.
One and two.
Tried to drop over a backdoor hook. That one low and away.
Come on, Alex. We need you, buddy.
There's only been 6 hits in this game. Sox have 4 of them, but trail by a run. There is the tying run, loosening up as we speak. Javier's hit the ball very hard twice, waiting in the on-deck circle.
All right, guys, if you're just tuning in, have hung out some severe ropes in this game, coming up empty right at people. As their guys have too.
Doesn't look like it, but the offenses have been pretty good. They just can't find any holes.
Still 1-0 Houston. Official White Sox MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. So go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Member FDIC.
Fiers has thrown it awfully well. That's Brent Strom, the pitching coach. And normally when a pitching coach puts his hand on your shoulder like that, they said, okay, well, that's good. That's 6. I think we've seen enough, but we'll see what A.J. Hinch wants. Strong performance, a lot of line drives, but they found defenders.
Top of the order, Springer, Valbuena, Altuve.
Big inning for Miguel, who's had some problems in the 6th.
Springer grounded to short, and that is foul. Thank you very much. Then he was hit by a pitch leading off the 4th and eventually came around to score on the softest base hit of the game thus far. Little broken bat flare that just did make the infield dirt.
Outfield straight away and fairly deep. All the way around for a man who has a lot of power.
And here's that run. He was on third base with 2 out in the 4th inning. And watch this. The old saying, Carlos, spend some meal money.
That it's better to be lucky than good, but if you're lucky and good, it works. It works real well.
Well, I don't know how lucky he is, but we know he's good.
He's real good.
Yes, he did. He gone. 1 out.
That was a changeup, and Springer knew when he went out to try to get it, he could not check it up. So he goes down on strikes, and that's the 82nd time. Not ideal for a leadoff hitter, but one with 17 home runs, 48 driven in. You can live with the strikeouts. If he can play defense like that man can play it.
Well, we both know what the 2 most vulnerable quads are. You got 4 quads. You got low and away, low and in, up and in, up and away. 4 quadrants, and we know which ones grab the most strikeouts. The low and away went on a breaking ball, and the up and in went on a fastball. So that being the case, you got to try to take one of those quadrants away, especially from young hitters.
Well, Springer has always struck out a lot.
Well, I guarantee you, more than half the time have been on breaking balls low and away.
There's no doubt. No doubt.
And maybe 2/3 of the time with fastballs up out of the zone.
Last year, 20 walks, 109 strikeouts, but he was hurt.
Bueno, he gone.
Ken Giles in the bullpen.
Hintz told me he's starting to get it together.
Yeah, hard throwing right-hander. He's always had a good arm. He had 42 strikeouts in 33 innings, but a high ERA.
Here's Altuve. He's grounded to short, then hit into a 1-6-3 double play. Takes first pitch strike.
This is where Altuve, with 2 out, nobody on, probably thinking about hitting one out of the ballpark. Got 13 home runs. That was a surprising total. He was trying to hit that one on the train.
Well, Dustin Pedroia is probably a little better high fastball hitter than Altuve, but Altuve, well, all he's doing is hitting 357.
Yeah, he's getting it done.
Tyler. So a couple of strikeouts, a ground out, we're into the 7th, trailing 1-0.
All season long with Papa John's Pizza. The day after the Sox win, get 50% off your entire online order of regular menu price items only at papajohns.com. That's when you use the promo code SOXWIN. That's at participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. And Ken Giles comes in the ball game. Acquired from Philadelphia. There you look at the numbers. 0-3 this year with an ERA just below 5, on for the 38th time, but the 42 strikeouts in 33 innings. That's good. 5 home runs allowed. That's not good. He's going to deal with the bottom part of the order. Much different pitcher than Fiers, who threw it real well for 6, gave up 4 hits, no runs, couple of walks, and 4 strikeouts. This guy can rush it up there.
No, terrific job by Mike Fiers.
Yeah, he did a very nice job.
He threw some rockets, but for him, they were right at some people. That's part of it. Avi. A big double high off the wall out there in left field. That was with a man aboard in the second inning. A couple more feet and it'd been out of here. Then he lined out very hard right to Springer and right.
That deal back on December 12th of last year, multi-player deal. Philadelphia got a young right-hander, Vince Velasquez, who's turned into quite a pitcher for them. They also got Mark Appel, former #1 draft pick of these Houston Astros, who never quite came to fruition. Out of Stanford, one of the best players in the country, just could not put it together with the Astros.
Could not check it up. There's that low and away.
When you set it up with 97 and then take a little something off, hard to check your swing, especially when you're an aggressive hitter, and obvious that.
Here's Tyler. He's popped up to center and walked.
Just a little high. He's missed a few by plenty. This is just his second hitter.
Just good enough to get your adrenaline flowing, Tyler.
That was 98. You know who used to do what he did? Former White Sox reliever Goose Gossage. He had great control, and he used to throw one 3 feet over the catcher's head on occasion, just to let you think that he didn't have control. Difference is Giles is not doing it by design.
Well, that's somewhat of a lost art of gamesmanship.
Yep.
I know I led off an inning against Ryan Durn, and this is in spring training. They brought him in relief to start the inning, and I just come off a big year in the minor leagues. You know, 19 years stud. First pitch he threw up in the press box. He turned that 19-year-old stud into a little tame. Meanwhile, 2 out.
Sets him up with some high fastballs and then the hard breaking slider in a perfect spot.
Here's a good example of what we're talking about the quadrants. You have got, in your mind as a hitter, you have got to learn, and some guys never learn it, some guys do, especially after they've been in the league 4 or 5 years. When you get a guy with stuff like this, you cannot cover the plate. And young hitters go up there, especially with guys with good stuff, and they try to cover the plate. You cannot. There are only a few times a year a hitter can cover the plate. That's when he's really going good, and then hitting is pretty easy. The rest of the time, you're scuffling like a son of a gun because you're trying to cover the whole plate, and you can't do it.
Pretty hard with a guy with the stuff of Giles.
You got to pick a spot.
Yeah, well,
where are you most dangerous? Are you most dangerous low and away, or are you most dangerous up?
Well, you're probably most dangerous up.
Exactly.
So don't swing at the pitch low and away.
Exactly. You got to make a commitment. You cannot. You got to make a commitment. And that's what smart hitters do. They don't try to cover the plate. Look at the best hitter in the game is Miguel Cabrera. And if there's anybody who can cover the plate more often than anybody else, it is Miguel Cabrera, because he makes a choice. He knows what the guy's got. He knows what the guy's probably going to try to do with him, especially with 2 strikes. And he will go in his mind to that spot.
Yeah, when he's entirely healthy, there are very few guys in the game who can think with him at bat, let alone execute with him.
Not in the American League.
Yeah.
There's nobody in the American League can think with him. That's a little Kansas City special. No. Hangs up, and that'll retire the side. 7th inning stretch. We trail 1-0. Correa, Rasmus, and Gomez to face Miguel Gonzalez.
Well, he's had a really good night also. He just ran into another pitcher having a good night, and a little blooper. Not even hit hard enough to get to Anderson. There's a difference in the game.
One way to frame Miguel Gonzalez. He's been a terrific pickup.
This is just an outstanding effort. He's facing a red-hot team who offensively has averaged 5 runs a game for about a month and held him to just 2 singles.
Well, look what he did against Boston last time.
Yeah, that was a nice performance.
Club hitting over 290, leading the big leagues in hitting. He goes 6 2/3, gives up 1 run on just 4 hits.
That's about as good as you can do against that ball club in that ballpark.
Yeah, you better believe it. There's a start. Well, there's one other way to maybe quantify it, so to speak. And that would be he's never had Don Cooper before.
It could very well be that that's the difference. That and the fact that he just knows how to pitch.
Well, you know yourself what a good coach can do for you. Nice. He couldn't come up with it. Well, I would imagine that's going to be an error, but they might give him a hit. Good throw gets him.
Hope to see if he gets a little home cooking on that one. No, it's E5. Goes up, and he got blinded by the lights a bit. It's a ball that Jose probably should have had but didn't.
Yeah.
And the ball trickles away, and you could see at the last instant it looked like Tyler had that chopper in the lights just the last instant.
Gray, as we mentioned, 8 for 11 in stolen bases. These guys have stolen 63 bases. Way out in front. Good motion. Yeah, this guy, you got to admit, Lunau's done a good job.
Yes, he has.
He has done a good job.
Rasmus with an extreme uppercut swing. Throw him some fastballs, let her high. He's got no chance, but he can pound the ball down.
Yeah, this club offensively, they're dangerous. If you just look at it, when you're making your lineup out, you say, oh, all right, Altuve, Correa, you know. But I'll tell you what, they've got a pretty nice approach.
Yes, they do.
Good lead, big lead.
And I like the way he's taking it. He's in front of the bag. And the reason why I like that kind of lead is when you are in front of the bag, it appears to the pitcher like your lead isn't quite as big. When you take your lead even or maybe a step behind the bag as you go to second base, it appears that you're taking a bigger lead. Pitcher's more likely to come over to first base.
Well, the best way to defend that from our standpoint is to get off the bag a couple of steps out there, go with him a little bit. Make him do the thinking.
Yeah, runners don't like that at all. Sox pen up and going. It's Duke and Beck.
Another big lead. One thing about getting the lead that big, though, everything that's on his mind is about getting back into the bag.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I dislike about huge leads, unless you're an extremely confident base runner, because a huge lead, if you're leaning back toward first, you've just taken away the advantage of a big lead.
Gap out there in left center.
Tried to throw that high fastball by him, but he fouled it back.
What those big leads can do in a lot of cases, though, is they can make the pitcher, especially young guys, lose a little bit of focus on the hitter. It's that old saying, you still got to get the hitter.
Regardless of who's base running.
$31,965.
Very big crowd on this July 4th weekend.
Of course, it wasn't just a little while ago. Houston had some devastating flooding. Talking with our clubhouse manager Steve Perry, he said it was awful. People's homes, everything they had just washed away. Short arms on that one.
I was pitching here one night when they had to delay the game because they had that night they had a 13-man pitching staff. That's just what the roster was configured. At game time, 2 of them, not including the starter, 2 of them had made it to the ballpark. That's how bad the flooding was.
Another big hat. Well, Eddie Casson, who's just a terrific director of team travel for us, takes care of the ball club on the road. And he's got us downtown. I was talking with some of the Astro people. At one point, we stayed out at the Galleria.
That was for years.
Yeah. And they say now if you stay out there and you catch the traffic at the wrong time, it's going to take you well over an hour to get here.
Looked to me like Correa was just about ready to go. He's measured Miguel. He had the right pitch, just didn't go. It was a breaking ball off the outside corner and down.
That's about as big a lead as you're going to see a guy get at first base. There he goes. And that's into right field. They got a shot at him. No. So 1 out. Got it off the end of the bat.
Looked like Adam did have a shot, but the throw was off the mark, and good reflexes by Correa. You got to listen for sound. See if there's any contact made, and preferably be looking back, even though you're trying to steal a bag, especially with 2 strikes on the hitter. That one was not hit all that hard, but Correa able to get back.
Well, I've been watching him, and he has yet to check his outfielders.
Young players.
Yeah, he hadn't checked them yet. That's the first thing you got to do is before the pitch is made, you got to know where those outfielders are. Gomez is lined very hard to left. And he's grounded to third. That's just, you know, it's just lost. It's one of the lost things of baseball. They don't check their outfielders. That's one of the two things that first base coach got to tell you every time. Don't get doubled up on a line drive and check your outfielders.
Well, we'll look at Correa and see if he turns around to check where any of the outfielders are, and the answer is no. Actually surprised he hasn't gone, because Miguel is using a higher leg kick than normal, and he's got a huge lead, and he's measured the moves. Unless Miguel is hiding one that he hasn't shown. If he is, he can pick him off, because he's way out there on that lead.
Too much time. Well, getting back to the not checking your outfield. Well, actually, it's not their fault.
Oh, they're not. Yeah, they're not told to do it,
That's
and
right.
they're not raised in that with that concept.
That's right. And it's not just this club. Every club. Just some are a little better than others. Not much, but a little bit. That's why you don't have to have a lot of speed to be a good base runner.
Alex going out there, I think he might be talking about, in his estimation, Correa looking like he's going to go.
Well, he's got a good first step, but he's out there so far having to think about getting back. He's not going to get what you would call a terrific jump. He's just going to have a good first step jump, and he has good speed. That's deep in the left field, and it's 3-0.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what everybody went out to talk about, but it certainly wasn't that.
Well, you know, again, if you're going to be that careful about the runner with a big lead over there, you're going to lose some focus on the hitter.
Yeah. That's on the 4th home run of the year for Gomez, our 4th home run replay. And he hit it way out. The bat flip. And then he started to hustle around the bases, so much so that Correa had to speed it up. Now he's driven in 20 with those 4 homers.
Nice knockdown, and he'll tag the bag. So Marwin Gonzalez is out.
So Gomez decides to pick it up, and he's hustling, and then he looks at Correa finally, who crosses the plate, waiting for him to arrive. Well, if that guy starts to heat it up, this lineup is going to be really difficult to contend with.
He's a good player.
You were talking about the lead of Correa. If you were teaching it, would you teach a crossover step or a step with the right leg first?
Well, he went with the right leg first when he broke. The thing is, it's an individual thing. Some guys can make the crossover step easier. Other guys use the right foot quick.
So it's personal preference. You
Sure.
don't want to teach a guy how to do that?
Yeah, but the biggest thing is having them get a lead. Having them get a lead. The momentum mentally is thinking second base, not getting back into first.
It's only the 3rd hit for the Astros against Miguel, who's had a wonderful night.
A.J. Reed picked up his first major league hit. Hit a hard ground ball. It hit the bag at first. Hit the top of the bag, went into right field. This guy last year, he's 22 years old. Last year in 135 games, split between two clubs, he had 127 RBIs and 34 home runs.
Yeah, remarkable. I mean, he had some unbelievable numbers.
Well, you don't see that in the minor leagues today. You don't see a guy cranking out 22-year-old cranking out 34 homers and driving in 127 runs in 135 games. Out of Terre Haute.
Well, they likened him to either Kendrys Morales, as far as a guy who could really hit him, and a better defensive first baseman. Not a great defensive first baseman, but better than you would expect for a guy this big and this strong. He's 275 pounds.
Well, he's got some mannerisms of a Justin Morneau up the plate.
Well, if he goes through a stretch where he can hit him as well as Justin did, it will be a pretty strong career for him.
I think he's probably can hit him as far. I don't know as often.
I just talk about as often, yeah.
Right.
As far, certainly. But there was a time when Justin was one of the most feared hitters in the American League.
You better believe it. He was more feared a lot of times than Bauer.
Yeah, he could do you more damage than Joe could. And here comes Don Cooper.
Well, first walk. There's the catcher, Jason Castro. He's 0 for 2. He's grounded to first, and then last time up hit a bullet right to Abreu. That's why Ricky Henderson, you know, I played against Mantle Mays, all those guys. Covey, Musial. Ricky Henderson's the greatest offensive player I ever saw.
He could disrupt a game better than anybody.
Especially against young pitchers.
Because he could hit it out of the park, and when he got on, nobody was more distracting.
No, he just scared young pitchers. There he goes, isn't he? He gone. Beautiful peg to Alex. But the error and the 2-run homer, and they lead it 3-0.
July 11th at 7 p.m. Central. And the very next night, don't miss the 87th All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 12th. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. Central. We got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Luke Gregerson. There you look at the numbers, 3-1. He's been called on to close some games. Been successful 13 of 18 times, which isn't a great percentage. On for the 35th time, 3.78 ERA.
Well, he threw one of the hardest hit home runs I've ever seen a couple of years ago out in Oakland. It was Abreu.
Yeah, that's the one hit off the facade. Seemingly, as soon as it left his hand, it was out.
One of the hardest I've ever seen hit.
Great job by Miguel Gonzalez, who held down a red-hot ball club to just 3 hits over 7 innings.
Start us off right here, Timmy. We couldn't win it anyway unless we scored, so let's score. Yeah, but getting back to Ricky Henderson, he's second in all time in walks.
Well, he got down in that little bitty crouch, and he had almost no strike zone.
Yeah. And he's the last guy that people wanted to walk, and they were so scared they walked him. Timmy now 0 for 4.
It's really strange how generations of hitters come about. Anderson has a bit of a crouch, but nobody uses that severe crouch that we used to see of just a generation ago.
No.
Pete Rose had a severe crouch. Henderson, Rod Carew.
A lot of guys.
Yep.
A lot of guys had a big crouch.
And you know what? If you had trouble with the high fastball, it made sense because you shortened your strike zone. And if you're a good low ball hitter, they had to come to you in that zone. And facing Ricky, I mean, you didn't have much you could deal with in and out. But as far as up and down, there was no up. And if you got it down, I mean, he led off a whole lot of games, and you were down 1-0.
Well, especially in the National League where they had a lower strike zone over there in that time frame you're talking about. 2 down. You saw more crouches in the National League you did in American League, because American League with the balloons where the umpires had was a high ball, more of a high ball league. So here's Abreu. He's 1 for 3 at double. In the 4th inning, then leading off in the 6th, he just missed one. Taking Gomez up right in front of that insperity sign at the 4:04 mark. First pitch strike. First of a 3-game set. First of a 3-game road trip. We'll come home Sunday night, and Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the Yankees.
Chris Sale going to tomorrow for a 3 o'clock game.
2 strikes.
Gregerson came over as a free agent a couple of years ago.
Easy inning for him. Couple of punch outs, and we trail it 3-0.
pitcher in the ball game, and it is Chris Beck. He's on for the 4th time. ERA 2.45. It's a fine job by Miguel Gonzalez. 7 innings, 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 3 hits.
Good enough to win.
On most nights.
Yeah.
Just not tonight.
So here is Castro, the catcher, 0 for 2. Yeah, Chris is wearing a pretty good number out there for a reliever. Oh, 1 to count. '54.
I remember Goose Gossage Ward.
That's it.
The Goose.
Sir Goosifer. Watch out.
Well, the bat went farther than the ball, and sometimes you have to keep your eye on that. You see the taped area. Castro trying to get a changeup, it looked like. Flipped the bat. He couldn't pick up where the baseball was, and Chris Beck, well, wisely gets out of the way. You're going to come in second, get hit by that bat.
Another $100 bill just bit the dust. One out.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live sports service, delivers every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. That includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Chris Beck can pitch in the big leagues if
learns to take a little more off or refines that straight change.
Yep.
Got a good note. Got a big fastball.
He can pitch in the big
Yep.
leagues. He gets a change of speeds to the eye of the hitter. Be hard for anybody if you're going to be hard. These guys are just too good if you're more or less a one-pitch pitcher or a one-speed pitcher today.
Well, with all the injuries to the right-handed part of the bullpen, there is a spot to secure for Chris Beck or anybody else who takes a step up. And Chris has got as good arm as anybody.
Well, right now for me, in shape our bullpen is in, is there's a, can he get it? Says no now. Brady looks into the dugout. What an effort by Saladino.
There's a whole lot of guys in this league that would have been thrown out at first base. This is just a great play. He gets up as quickly as he can, pours it across, and that's really close at first base.
Real time, I thought he was out.
Yeah, and you got nothing to lose by asking him to review it. Slowing it down that time, it looked like foot got in, but
yeah,
you never know.
It's just an angle. What angle you get? See, I thought his foot was still in the air.
Yeah, that angle it did.
Yeah.
This might be one of those definitive proof things. But it's going to be a base hit.
I heard enough of that yesterday.
Yeah, unfortunately. But all's well that ends well. And that one ended very well.
Well, getting back to the bullpen and the way the game is situated today, obviously things have changed in the last 20 years, but obviously the most important member of your bullpen is your closer.
Yes.
To me, the next most important member of your bullpen has got to be first man out.
First man out. That's one of the things that
used to be the last prerequisite of a bullpen.
That's because there's a different philosophy today. I mean, there's a lot of different philosophies, but certainly with that guy.
That's going to be in the gap. I'll tell you what, that Springer can pick him up and lay him down for a big man. It's 4-0. Valbuena's going to find a way to get a big hit against us.
He crushes this ball to left center field. And it finds its way all the way to the wall, driving it his 28th. That was just a bullet.
Altuve. That's foul. He got a cookie there.
Well, to go back to talk about first man out of the bullpen, now it's of vital importance because you got to eat up some innings, so it helps to have some starters. In the old days, that first man out was the only position on your team that you got there by default.
Yep.
It was failed starters, it was failed closers, it was failed setup men, and you became the first man out of the bullpen. And when guys got there, they didn't feel like it was a valuable part of the pen. Now it's an invaluable part of the pen.
Well, going back, it was that's into center field. Shuck. It was embarrassing almost to be named the first man out.
Just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and here's our Miller moment. A.J. Reed, one of the promising young players on this team, hits the bag at first base. That's his first major league hit. He's held to a single, and he will remember that as long as he lives. Altuve calling for it, and he was lifted in for a pinch runner who was summarily thrown out trying to steal, Jake Marisnick.
There's Correa. 1 for 3 with an RBI single, infield single. Yeah, that has come into prominence now like never before in this game of baseball. First man out.
Well, the Astro people told both you and I that they couldn't have done it in the early going without having 3 guys who could take the ball, throw 3 innings, 3 1/3, 3 2/3, whatever they needed, and that saved the rest of the bullpen. That saved the winning part of the bullpen.
As I said earlier, that's the first prerequisite of a manager today. What he has to do and his pitching coach have to do, they have to figure out how to build that bullpen and how to protect it. And this year, with that schedule we had, they had no chance. They had no chance with one off day in April.
Well, it worked out very well, but
it wore them out.
It's exactly what happened. I mean, they started out, as we know, 23-10, but all of a sudden, those same guys that got everybody out the first 5 weeks of the season went through a stretch where they weren't getting anybody out. Same guys.
Well, as I said, they were the best bullpen in the big leagues in April, the worst in May. And there's only one way that can happen, either by injuries or scheduling.
In this case, it was just too many games in a very short period of time. Never seen one off day scheduled in the month of April for a team from the East or Midwest.
No, me either.
And you and I got close to 1,000 years in the game.
Well, when I started, you were in diapers.
Not quite, but in the neighborhood.
Running around with diapers with a passy.
Robin looks out, realizing, as he has many times this year, and as all managers learned before him, you don't score any runs, you're not going to win any. Watching Springer circle the bases was
He's fun.
pretty nice to watch.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. Gomez is fun to watch. Altuve's fun to watch. Just a fun ball club to watch, Houston. No wonder they're drawing well.
Castro talking with Springer. Here comes Don Cooper. To you, does Carlos Correa seem to have some of the mannerisms of A-Rod?
Yes, he does. Some, yeah. And he, to me, being 21 years old, right now is a better looking player than A-Rod was when he was 21 years old.
Question is, will he take the steps forward? He's got
to tell you the truth, I don't think he can. I don't think he can, because what A-Rod morphed into was the best for a period of 10, 12 years, the best player in baseball. I told you that story about talking to Pinella. They were in a pennant race or divisional title race out there. He needed a third baseman. We were having dinner after a game one night, and I said, Lou, look, there's the perfect deal for you here. You need a third baseman. If you get a good third baseman, you can win this thing over here. I said, you give us Alex Gonzalez, who was a kid at the time, and we'll give you Robin Ventura.
And Lou said,
looked at me, he said, Hawk, if I were to trade Alex Gonzalez, they would run me out of town on the rail.
He was the first player picked in the country. That's just what Lou would have needed.
I said, well, you got stones enough to make that deal if that's going to guarantee you a divisional title.
Well, that would have sent some alarm bells ringing all around baseball.
I think Alex was 20 years old at the time. So in retrospect, if Lou had made that deal and gone ahead and won a divisional title, possibly a World Series, it would have justified.
I was going to say, no, if he'd have gone on to win the World Series or be in the World Series, nobody blames him for that.
Right.
It was hard to look 15, 18 years down the road.
Yeah. Well, I always thought that after Alex got to be 24, 25 years old, that he would break almost every record, seasonal record in the game. Not, you don't know how long a guy's going to play. Not that he was going to hit 700 home runs, which he is, Well,
it's one thing to get the #1 pick in the draft.
Excuse me. There's a pitcher he's going to have to show these guys he can get over right there.
Yeah. And that one was a little out of the zone.
I'm getting ready to say that was a mistake. A cookie.
It was out of the zone. Got the benefit. But 2 first player picks in the country, and you have A-Rod available for one and Ken Griffey Jr. available for another one.
That's something.
Who?
I remember doing a game with Wimpy in Seattle, and we were talking about Junior. Junior this year, I think he had 54 home runs. And Wimpy and I were talking about it, and I told him, I said, Wimpy, I said, give me your call on Junior right now, rate him. And so I think he's the best player in the game. And I said, I'm not going to disagree with you, but he might be having a guy play in front of him that's going to be better than he is.
That was A-Rod was coming?
Yeah. 5-0.
If you're trying to get out Colby Rasmus with a thigh-high fastball, you've got very little chance. Of course, Chris didn't try to throw it there, but that's exactly where it wound up. And that looked like a slider instead of a fastball, but it was down, and he just scalded it.
Well, there are a lot of guys going to hit that pitch very hard. Very, very hard. That's what I'm talking about. Chris can pitch, but he's got to get change speeds. Show him that he can get a changeup over in any count. 94-mile-an-hour fastball being, for the most part, the one he's going to come at you with. And not that case right there, but most of the time is not going to work. There's plenty if they know you can get a changeup over.
RBI number 40 for Rasmus.
First pitch strike, Gomez, who homered last inning. They have 5 runs on 6 hits. We have no runs on 4 hits. We have stranded 6. They have stranded 2 up to this point. They are trying to go 26-12 in their last 38 games.
Gomez trying to hit a pair of home runs. Of course, that's just about every swing. That's one of the things that you notice about Gomez. That batting average in the 220s is that every swing is the same. Doesn't matter what the count is. He's airing it out.
He gone. But some damage is done. Come up with a couple more, and they lead it by 5. Game 2 of this 3-game set is our ace, Chris Sale. Chris Sale looks for his major league leading 14th win of the season. Coverage begins at 2:30 with White Sox pregame live, presented by the Koalas family of dealerships on CSN Chicago.
A new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Chris Davinsky. He's putting together a very good year. Now for the 20th time, 0-2, 1-for-1 in saves, 2.22 ERA. And he's one of those 3 we're talking about that can go relatively long in a ball game. He was a shortstop. Originally drafted by the White Sox, the 25th round in 2011. And he made his mark as a pitcher in the big leagues. There's another guy that you were telling me about in the Orlando area that was a shortstop and made his mark in the big leagues.
Yeah. It was like a man playing with kids.
He just got hurt, Zach Greinke.
Did he?
Yeah. He was covering first base. Was almost in a contortionist position as he took a throw behind him. And now he's hurt. I'm not sure if they've disabled him yet, but it didn't look too good, and he came away with some back issues.
Well, I tell you, he was by far a better looking hitter and shortstop than he was pitcher. And he wanted to play shortstop. Kansas City wouldn't let him, as that's a high pop up.
Just like excuse me, here is our Xfinity high-speed action replay. And it's Brett Lawrie. It's in the gap, and then he decides he's taking off for second base. And he turns it into a hustle double with 2 outs in the 6th inning.
That ball deep into right field. 1 hop. Ground rule double. He has swung the bat well tonight. A couple doubles and a bullet to third base for an out.
But lately he's been swinging it well all the time. He get a fastball out of the strike zone, but because it was up, this ball exploded over the head of Springer.
I just love to watch him play. Well, that's, you know, anytime you see a player who you don't see very much or very often, I love to watch those kind of guys play. There's not many Brett Lawries around.
Well, you're not going to see one instant in any aspect of the game where he's not hustling with everything he has.
And you know yourself, that's hard to do.
Oh,
that is
yeah,
hard.
it is.
Alex 0 for 2 with a walk. If you're just tuning in, they scored 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 7th, and 2 in the 8th. You know, we've only had 2 innings where we have had 2 guys aboard. Let's get on the board. Let's do not get shut out. We've been shut out 3 times this year. Barry made a good pitch on him. That evens the count at 2. Full count. There he just came right at him.
They're trying to wipe him out with a high fastball. Alex looking for his 7th run batted in. He has 1 walk sandwiched in between a couple of strikeouts.
And there's ball 4.
Brent Strom looks like he's making a call to the bullpen.
Here's Avi. He's 1 for 3 with a bullet double off the top of the left field fence scoreboard.
And the Astro pen is starting to throw.
High and souvenir time. As I mentioned, almost 32,000 tonight. 31,965.
And who's taken over as a closer? Harris loosening up. .78 ERA.
And this ball game is over. So we come in here 1 game over 500, and very simple. It's hard to win unless you put points on the board.
Yeah, the Astros had a good performance by Fires and Giles, Gregerson, and Davinsky, and a really good pitching performance by Miguel Gonzalez goes for naught.
All right. So for my partner Steve Stone, our director Phil Moore, Skip Ellison, our producer John Waldron, our associate producer Dave Ross, our technical manager Mark Harper, also the executive producer Jim Corno Jr., and also for Melissa Gordon, Jenny Watkins. This is the Hawk. So long, everybody. Coming up next, Subaru Postgame Live with Chuck and Bill. You've been watching White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.